Hello, everyone. Well, I'm finally back from my house-sitting gig. All the fires have been put out, mostly, and I am just happy to be back home. Seriously, it feels like that place was watching me or something. Well, anyway, several weeks ago, I teased in my Catwoman review that we'd be looking at a very special 4-part miniseries. So today, that's exactly what we're going to look at. We're going to look at Raccoon?
Oh, bugger. Not this again.
What are you doing here?
Damned if I know. I'm out patrolling the Keystone Quadrant, looking out for that bugger Galactus. The next thing I know, I'm thrashing some poof in a green cape. And now I'm here. You aren't going to make me look at a video game, are you?
Actually, no, I'm not a gamer.
Oh, good.
I was going to look at your comic book series today, though.
My what?
Do you want to review it with me?
Alright, but only until I can find my way off this rock.
Ah, great. Let's go. I'm just going to set you down right over here. Yeah, comfortable? Okay. So, let's take a look at Rocket Raccoon. Before Rocket Raccoon became a hit character in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, he was...
Wait. What's all this?
What?
What's with the montage?
Oh, this is just what I do for the audience at home so that they have some kind of a point of context as to what I'm talking about.
Oh. Right, so they don't get confused and such.
Exactly. Now, as I was saying, before his appearance in Marvel vs. Capcom 3, he was a comic book character inspired by the Beatles song Rocky Raccoon, wherein an old western gunslinger gets shot by the man who stole his girl. So, like everyone's favorite blue midget homestar, Rocket Raccoon is in fact a song from the 60s.
I'm a song from the 60s.
So you're probably thinking, this comic is a western then, right? Actually, no. This story is about an anthropomorphic raccoon from outer space who battles robotic clowns on a planet entirely inhabited by lunatics whose main currency is animal crackers, and I just lost everyone entirely, didn't I?
Blimey. I'm from this story, and you lost me.
Yeah, I really have no idea where this story came from, given its roots, and its supposed backstory is even more confusing, but nevertheless, let's take a look. All these covers can be wrapped up in pretty much one word. Awesome! Sure, issues 1 and 3 can look a little chaotic, but all of them are just so epically insane that they scream to the reader, "You have to read me to find out what the hell is going on here!" Issue 1 opens, "In Space! You are about to enter a strange and not always rational galaxy. Understatement of the century." Inside the space wheel, we find a lizard toysmith putting the finishing touches on his latest creation. After expositing that he works for someone called Lord Divine, he gets held up by a clown. "One of Judson Jakes' clowns? Aboard Space Wheel? Is this some kind of joke?" "Think of it, Toysmith, instead as a thriller. That's funny and frightening. A real killer-diller!" The clown's laughter attracts a bunch of samurai simians, but the clown tears through them, beating them with his bare hands and shooting finger lasers at them.
Oi! Enough with the finger lasers! I'm sick to the teeth of them!
Lord Divine, another lizard man, seals off the space wheel and orders his gang of mercenary bunnies to destroy the clown.
Hold it!
What?
Mercenary bunnies?
Yes, what about them?
This doesn't strike you as, I don't know, frackin' weird?
Look, I'm talking to a raccoon in a little blue suit. This is nothing. And besides, we got 4 issues to get through here. If we're going to point out everything that's weird in the story, we're going to be here for a very long time.
Yeah, point taken.
Okay. The Mercs, led by Blackjack O'Hare, destroy the clown, which was actually a robot.
Of course he was.
"There's only one being in Keystone Quadrant who'd want my chief Toysmith slain. Only one being who'd stand to profit from my misfortune. But Judson Jakes won't get away with starting a trade war with Lord Divine!"
You heard it, folks. A lizard who runs a toy empire and is capable of going to war over said toy empire. I never thought I'd see anything that would make Willy Wonka look like a totally legitimate businessman.
You're really weird.
We then cut to our title character, Rocket Raccoon, trying to decipher an old book on the planet Half-World. Nearby, his otter girlfriend Lila and her uncle Wall are enjoying a relaxing swim.
Wait, what? Why am I dating an otter?
Well, you know how otters eat clams that they smash over their bellies, right?
Right.
So, have you ever thought of the possibilities of a girlfriend with abs that strong? Yeah. Anyway, Lila disrobes and leaps into the water, voicing her disdain for Rocket not enjoying this lovely day. Oh dear, Rocket darling, did I soak your dusty old tome?
Luckily no, Lila, my sweet. But you did dampen my enthusiasm for scholarly pursuits while rekindling my interest in fun and frolic. Lila, my sweet, who wrote this thing? Dolly Do-Right?
Their fun and frolic is interrupted by a squad of turn-of-the-century policemen called the Keystone Cops, and they inform Rocket of the murder of Divine's chief toysmith. He sends the cops away, and he and his friends head to the main city on Half-World, simply called Cuckoo's Nest.
The loonies look happy enough. I guess the news hasn't leaked to them yet that there may soon be a war on to interfere with their entertainment.
Rocket returns the Half-World Bible to the chapel known as the Admissions Ward, unhappy by his failure to read the language of its writers, the Shrinks. The Bible is replaced on its pedestal, and a group of loonies called the Good Humor Men partake in a ritual where they strap each other into straitjackets, committing themselves to the church. However, the last one in line has no one to tie his jacket. No! I'm condemned to be uncommitted! The religion of the ancients is a demanding one. Few attain the final cure, enabling them to become as the Shrinks.
Sometimes I don't think I'll ever understand the rituals. Hey! Finally something I have in common with me!
Rocket gets a video call from Lord Divine, from somewhere, and he tells him of Judson Jakes' crime. Rocket asks for proof, to which Divine replies,
How's this for proof? Who else would profit from driving me out of business? Forgive me for maligning your guardian, dearest Lila.
I bear him little love, Lord Divine.
May I then dare to hope that, perhaps one day, you'll turn your limpid eyes favorably upon me?
Because any woman who's dating a raccoon clearly has a thing for reptiles.
Touch my lady with your cold-blooded claws, Divine, and I'll tie you in knots!
Could your passion for the Lady Lila possibly impede your investigation of Jake's crimes, Ranger Rockets?
The fact that Jake is guardian of Lila's fortune till she comes of age doesn't mean anything to me, Divine! Hey, don't look at me! She never told me she was underage!
Yeah, I'm so sure. Divine notes that a war between him and Jakes would halt production of toys all over the world, which would mean disaster for the loonies, and this is enough to send Rocket rocketing to question Jakes on the other side of the planet. Rocket, did you ever wonder why things in the Keystone Quadrant are the way they are?
Ceaselessly, Wall. That's why I'm trying to decipher the Half-World Bible. Somewhere in that indecipherable tome is the key to this nut house we're living in.
I somehow doubt they would take the time to jot down how often they were getting high. They fly over the other half of Half-World, which is inhabited not by loonies, but by robots who ceaselessly build parts for the two toy companies, and artificial appendages for the animals, like Wall's interchangeable tusks. And by the way, yes, the walrus's name is Walrus, but unlike Batman Through the Looking Glass, this doesn't piss me off. Through the Looking Glass takes place in a world where no human being would ever give their children such ridiculous names. This is a completely different planet here that's built entirely upon insanity. The names in here are significantly easier to swallow. They zero in on Jakes' base of operations, Mayhem Mechanics, and they fly down into a crater a la The Empire Strikes Back. But even as the ship dives down into darkness, Lord Divine aboard Space Wheel whips up some nastiness of his own. And as if spying on Rocket wasn't impressive enough on its own, Divine apparently has the ability to spy on the comic book. Seriously, look, he can see their dialogue balloons and caption boxes. Divine monologues about how since Jakes and Rocket are poised to kill each other, Lila is left open for him to take. He sends Blackjack O'Hare to retrieve her, and we find her at the preparations for a masquerade with the loonies, which is apparently supposed to be therapeutic, and it's allowing them to be whoever they believe themselves to be. If you read the Half-World Bible, as I alone have, you'd know what it was your precious Shrinks truly said. and it would shrivel your straitjacket.
Is that a euphemism for something?
Anyway, this turtle, Uncle Pico, has apparently read the Bible before Rocket got his paws on it, and he swaps it out for a fake Bible to keep it for himself. Lila recognizes Uncle Pico, who is employed by Judson Jakes, and she chases after him after realizing that it must have been he who stole the half-roll Bible. Calling Rocket isn't an option since he's off pursuing Jakes, so she sneaks into the armory to handle things herself, and promptly gets abducted by Blackjack O'Hare. Meanwhile, Rocket and Wall are flying underneath Mayhem Mechanics when a giant robotic arm grabs their ship. Rocket flies out on his rocket skates to deal with the arm. He'd expected the proprietor of the establishment to have some sort of surprise prepared for him, but he wasn't expecting the Psycho Circus. Then again, who could?
Wait, can this Jakes guy see the narration boxes too? Do these characters know they're in a comic book?
While Rocket fights the clown robots, Wall is left to try to free the ship himself. He's then interrupted by some oncoming clowns. There are times when a walrus of peace such as myself must set aside some tusks for more martial molars. And he replaces his tusks that were designed for spaceship maintenance with freaking laser tusks. I dare you to show me anything that's both this ridiculous and awesome. In the midst of the battle, Jakes reveals that he intends to not only be the only toy mogul on the planet, but that he intends on selling his toys instead of giving them away for free like he and Divine have been doing. You'll not stop this toy war I've started until Lord Divine lies dead, and your lovely Lila becomes my bride, thus making her fortune mine!
Lila, marry you? You're mad, Mole.
I agree. If he's already in control of her fortune, what's stopping him from maintaining control if he were to simply kill her? Just then, Uncle Pico shows up and tells them to stop their pointless fighting. He turns on a video screen, where Lord Divine reveals that he's kidnapped Lila. Jakes demands that Rocket save her for him, or else war will be unleashed.
War means a disruption in the flow of toys to the loonies and cuckoo's nest, whose happiness I'm pledged to protect. Why do I care about the happiness of a bunch of loonies?
What, a comic book hero can't do what he does just because he's a nice guy? Not every comic book character in the 80s had to be a hard-ass, you know. But that's exactly what Rocket becomes in the very last panel of this issue.
Lord Divine's kidnapped Lila, my cellmate, and that really makes my fur fly!
And as we all know, when a raccoon makes that face, it's freaking on. Issue 2 opens with the Loonies masquerade in full swing, where Rocket and Wall are keeping an eye out for anyone who might use the masquerade as a cover. A cover for what, I'm not exactly sure, but the party is soon crashed by another killer clown bot, and a giant bat-like creature called a Dracular. While they deal with Rocket, Blackjack and his Black Bunny assassins are watching for the safety of a parade float. He calls Lord Divine and informs him of how he's decided to take a different course of action. Since I took all the risks, I thought maybe I'd tie the knot with her and make myself top toysmith in the Keystone Quadrant.
I am altering the deal. Pray I don't alter it any further.
What's with everyone wanting to be the main man of the toy industry?
I'm guessing Lila's just really good in the sack here.
I guess. Damn.
Lord Divine doesn't take Blackjack's heel turn very well.
Clear this chamber! It is time to summon forth the Red Breath!
No, your slitheriness! Not the red breath! The others clear out, and a red mist rises from the floor and is apparently smart enough to carry out Divine's orders.
Amuse me by seeking out my enemies and erasing them!
Back with Rocket Raccoon, where the Dracular gets taken out by one of the clown's own blaster balls, and the clown is rather nastily disposed of by a single blast from Rocket's laser gun.
Where does it get those wonderful toys?
Rocket looks up to see Wall piloting his ship, which incidentally is called the good ship Raccoon, where he used its superior instruments to detect the location of Lila and her captors.
Wait a minute. If Uncle Wall knew that the ship had better equipment for his job than he had, why didn't he just use it to begin with?
Look, on this road you can't expect logical thinking to be everyone's strong points, can you?
Cop out!
So Wall and Rocket away to save Lila. But behind the Raccoon ruin, the red breath appears, consuming even the sound effects of its passage. Yes, not only is the red breath erasing something which shouldn't exist because it's in a vacuum, but it's also erasing something that exists purely in the format of a comic book.
This is kind of freaking me out here. Is the comic becoming self-aware?
Back at Mayhem Mechanics, Jakes tells Uncle Pico to stop reading from the Half-World Bible, where I think we see the only reference to the Beatles song this comic was allegedly inspired by. After ranting about how it's his destiny to take over the world,
Of course!
Uncle Pico directs his attention to one of his other inventions.
With my vacuum sleds, you can clean up anything or anyone you like.
And these vacuum sleds look like shoes strapped to hairdryers. Which makes sense to me. We jump back to Cuckoo's Nest, where Rocket and Wall trace Lila's signal to where the Masquerade has assembled, simply called Asylum.
She needs you, Rocket, but to rescue her now means violating the Looney's most sacred shrine.
I'll repent after the rescue.
He flies in, but is ambushed by the Loonies, who are just too happy to see him.
Oh, this is embarrassing.
Well, you have to admit, you are pretty cute.
Oh no, it's a curse.
Suddenly, the red breath seeps its way into the asylum, and actually wipes one of the Loonies completely out of existence. Rocket tries to fight off the deadly gas, while Wall goes off to rescue Lila. But, surprise, surprise, firing lasers at it doesn't exactly do a whole lot. The mist erases one of Rocket's rocket skates, causing him to lose control and crash. Meanwhile, Wall tracks Lila and Blackjack from behind a closed door. Wall bursts in, teeth ablazing, sending the Black Bunny assassins flying. He then frees Lila from her bonds. "Oh, Uncle Wall, that was wonderful!"
Mere pyrotechnics, my dear.
But I'll bet it felt good to lash out at our enemies, didn't it? Well, yes it did.
Why did she answer her own question there?
I never got that myself. Just as Blackjack and Wall are about to have themselves a showdown, it's interrupted by a squadron of clowns on vacuum sleds bursting through the window.
Oh yeah!
They suck up all of the mercenaries, much to Blackjack's dismay. "You've made enemies of both Judson Jakes and Lord Divine now.
That puts you in the same boat as Rocket Raccoon.
Why not join forces?"
Me? Work with the law? And for free?
For free!
So Blackjack joins them, and Lila sees that Rocket has been cornered by the Red Breath. "Rocket, what kind of behavior is that for a ranger? You fly free at once."
Oh wow! Thanks for the advice there, love. I had completely forgotten that I could do that. I'm missing one of my rocket skates, you waker!
Blackjack leaps down to Rocket, and the clowns follow him, sucking up the Red Breath. With the Red Breath distracted, this gives Rocket the chance to escape with Blackjack. So the Red Breath is sucked up, and this in turn causes the vacuum sleds and their clown riders to disappear. And this somehow makes everything else that the Red Breath erased rematerialize.
But if they rematerialize, shouldn't the clowns and the vacuum sleds be rematerializing too?
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
You're telling me.
Enraged by the havoc that's being thrust upon Half-World, Rocket enlists the aid of Blackjack for their cause, and they go off to stop Jakes and Divine from continuing their toy war. Issue 3 begins with the Raccoon flying over a battlefield, neck-deep in the toy war. Bursting banana bombs from above, and the artillery fire from the automated prank tanks below, catch the good ship Raccoon in a deadly crossfire. For Rocket Raccoon and his crew, the toy war raging across Half-World is no joke. Which is why the blimp was painted to look like a chimp, and why it's firing banana bombs. Blackjack suggests that they take shelter in a nearby crater, but Rocket points out how the ship will never fit inside. After weighing what few options they have, they prepare to abandon ship.
Autopilot set for Roboside, and I don't like it one bit.
She's not asking you to enjoy it, just do it, will you?
The ship careens low enough over the crater for them to make a jump for it, and the ship is destroyed. Rocket's worried about how they could be easily bombed down there, but Blackjack whistles to summon the Wild Worms of Half-World, also known as our transportation.
The sleeper has awakened!
While that's going on, Lord Divine and Jakes decide to team up not only for the sake of making sure that Rocket Raccoon is dead, but also to create a single, stronger toy company. If they're agreeing with that, why don't they just call off the war, shake hands, and be done with all of this? Back to Rocket and his team, who ride the worms to safety on the robot half of Half-World. Once they make it to the surface, Blackjack takes them to a cantina, where I feel I'd be breaking some kind of federal law if I didn't provide the appropriate music. Every deal for every toy sold on Half-World is negotiated in this cantina. Here animals and robots meet to plan the pleasures of humanity. Every toy being sold? I thought that the toys were being given away for free, and this selling them was a fairly new idea.
And every toy deal is made up in the seedy bar. I know this planet's bonkers, but don't the toy companies have corporate offices to make those deals? All you've told us is where we are, O'Hare, not why you've brought us here.
'Cause Jakes and Divine ain't likely to look for us here. Granted, it may not be likely that they'd look for you here, but is it really a good idea to hide in this one place in which both their companies apparently do a lot of their business? I think you're taking the concept of hiding in plain sight a bit too far here. Lila spots Uncle Pico in the corner, and when confronted, he says that he'll help them end the toy war if he's named the chief toysmith of the Keystone Quadrant. Lila points out that anyone who steals the Half-World Bible doesn't care about the happiness of the loonies like the chief toysmith is supposed to. Pico, however, says that he merely borrowed it so that he could try to decipher it.
I've been trying for years to translate the symbols used by the legendary shrinks. I couldn't read them. Nobody can.
Ah, but I have. Pico reveals that the Half-World Bible is actually a collection of notes and log entries from a group of psychiatrists who sought to create an asylum for mental patients that were outcast from their home planet. The robots they brought with them tended to the patients' needs, leaving the shrinks free to conduct their research on how to cure what their society had deemed incurable. And they also brought animals with them to provide companionship to the patients. But then the shrinks were forced to leave Half-World because their funding was cut, and they locked the planet safely away in a Galatian wall that would protect the loonies from the rest of the universe. Naturally, there isn't anything to explain the history of Half-World after the shrinks leave, but Pico theorizes that with each successive generation of loonies...
Successive generation? You mean there was a whole planet of loonies making the beast?
Yeah, it looks like. Anyway, the robots apparently got fed up with the illogical tendencies of the loonies, and eventually migrated to the opposite side of the planet, leaving the loonies in the care of the animals.
Well, that means that I've spent my whole life searching for sanity in a universe established to house the insane.
Oh, come on, Rocket, there are far more disappointing letdowns as far as the great questions go.
42!
The task is now to try to establish such order as may be possible here by ending the toy war. And to do that, we need the help of the robots.
You're going to get more than that, gang! While Uncle Pico was telling his story, Blackjack slipped off and apparently grabbed all of these bar patrons to betray Rocket. But you can call us Blackjack O'Hare and his Awful Eight.
I can think of other things to call you, O'Hare. You're a stupid sheep herding around with gorillas on his face, throwing grapes into the air, and whore.
Wow. Anyway, before Blackjack can do anything, a laser gun pops out of Uncle Pico's shell and he unleashes utter hell on the lot of them. You heard me, people. A laser gun just popped out of a turtle's shell and is mowing down a bar full of animals with guns and knives. This comic is ridiculously awesome. Rocket and his friends slip away under the cover from all the smoke from the laser fire, but Pico is lagging behind.
Well, get Lila to safety. Pico's so slow that O'Hare's sure to get him unless I go back for it.
And because a laser gun in his shell isn't cool enough, the shell then transforms into a rocket-powered buggy. Again, ridiculously awesome. They all make a clean getaway, leaving Blackjack in the dust. Pico leads Rocket and company to the head robot, which is literally a head robot. And a rather creepy-looking one at that. Pico thinks that if he feeds the various diagnoses and observations that the shrinks wrote down in the Half-World Bible to the head robot, then it can make a therapy program to design toys that would aid in the loonies' mental recovery. Once sane, they will apparently have no need for the toys that Divine or Jakes would provide, and the toy war will come to an end. Or maybe they'll just keep on playing with toys because this is the only thing in their entire world that they know. Hell, there's still perfectly sane people in this world that still play with toys. Right, Rocket? Rocket? Rocket!
Huh? Right.
Rocket reluctantly feeds the Bible to the head robot, and they all wonder what could possibly come out of doing so.
What will it do with the shrink's diagnosis?
What kind of toy will it construct based on their centuries-old notes? Can any toy possibly cure the loonies of their insanity? Good questions, one and all. And this is the answer. The head of the robot monster? Issue 4 opens with Rocket and his friends putting on a traveling show to attract the attention of the loonies.
Step right this way to feast your eyes on the miraculous, the magnificent, the marvelous and wondrous Wonder Toy. The Wonder Toy is the ultimate amusement. It'll thrill ya, it'll chill ya. Used too often, it may just kill ya. But I won't ask you to take on faith what you can see demonstrated with your own eyes.
And Pyko's demonstration is Wall putting on a puppet show where they reenact the effects of the Wonder Toy's sanity-restoring properties.
Oh, sure. There's nothing in the world as legitimate as what puppets have to say. What?
The loonies demand to see more, and Pyko passes off Rocket as someone who is in need of what the Wonder Toy can provide. He fumbles with the controls for a bit, as Pyko explains what's happening to him.
See? He's already learned what's good for him through positive feedback.
And what is good for him? Some fine otter lovin'.
Come to think of it, she does look kinda cute in this last panel, doesn't she?
The loonies are all sold on the Wonder Toy, and Pyko gives them all away as Rocket pounces on Lila.
Mixing business with pleasure, Rocket.
Whoa! I couldn't help myself. I put on the Wonder Toy and was suddenly overwhelmingly aware of the depth of my love for Lila.
And you were sane to begin with, Rocket Raccoon. Think of how the loonies must be feeling right now. They're all in love with Lila too, and they're all having their way with her.
No, actually, the loonies are becoming aware of their own minds, which I guess is enough to restore their sanity. I'm not a psychology major, so I have no idea if this is sound reason enough to declare these people sane, but I'll buy it for now. Anyway, they leave to give more Wonder Toys away, but one of the loonies is actually one of Jake's robots, whose mouth flies away to deliver the news of what they're up to. It reaches Jake's, who is unnerved by how there were no bodies found at the site of Rocket's supposed death. Where, oh where can my enemies be? Oh where can they be? They're riding around giving toys out for free. Yes, that is where they do be.
Great! Now they're singing!
Oh, come on. If a toy maker and a robot clown can't sing, then who can? Giving toys away? For free?
For free!
Destroy them! Divine intervenes, explaining that the distribution of the Wonder Toys will stop once Rocket Raccoon is dead.
All we have to do is win.
He then explains that he caught word of how all the robots in Half-World have been preparing to leave the planet, and once they and Rocket are gone, the two of them will each have one half of the planet to rule over.
There's just one more minor formality required to seal our bargain, my dear Jakes.
A contract? My dear Divine, don't you trust me? And as he says that, you see that both of them are concealing weapons behind their backs.
Hey, cute!
Rocket and his friends complete their task, having given Wonder Toys to every human in Cuckoo's Nest. Lila is shocked by the silence, where they should be hearing the laughing and playing of the loonies, who are now just sitting quietly, contemplating and enjoying their new reformed minds. The silence is broken by Divine and Jake's, as they open fire on everyone below. Rocket gears up for battle, but they can't fight here, or else they run the risk of hurting the loonies.
Giddy up!
Giddy up? Pardon me, but is that quaint colloquialism supposed to merit a serious response?
How about move your f***ing ass before I pop it full of laser fire? That's serious enough for ya?
They ride off away from the loonies, but don't get very far before they're bombarded by a banana bomb. The robo-horse dashes off to get reinforcements from the other robots, and Rocket and his friends are left alone to make their final stand.
Lila, I can bear never having known anything but insanity as long as I've been guardian over the loonies. But what I can't bear is the thought of losing you, and I won't!
Rocket proceeds to give him hell, but he quickly gets shot down, only to be saved by Blackjack with hair. I guess I finally realized that there wouldn't be much of a future for a merciless mercenary if I let Jake's and Divine skin you.
I'm touched over here. Truly touched. Thank you for saving me now, just so you can have a chance of killing me later!
They continue giving their all against the chimps and clowns, but then they hear a loud rumbling in the sky.
It's the robots! The robots have arrived!
The robots land their humanoid spaceship. Yeah, the robots left the loonies because they couldn't bear their illogical nature, and then they build this thing, because that's logical. And an army of robots and loonies come pouring out. The loonies, now perfectly sane, quickly end the battle, and Jakes and Divine beat a hasty retreat. Rocket flies after them, and just as they're about to reach Mayhem Mechanics...
I throw everything I have at them to bring them down.
No. Actually, the Dracula they're riding just gets sick of their bickering, and flips them off its back.
Oh, give me a break!
The former loonies thank Rocket for granting them their sanity, and they ask him to help rebuild their world. Rocket objects, stating that their role as helpers is now unnecessary since the loonies are now capable of fending for themselves, and that it's time for the robots and animals to venture forth to find their own world. The humanoid starship warps through the all-encircling Galatian wall set about the Keystone Quadrant. It had been placed in space by the psychiatrists of an ancient race, a force field fence to enclose the mentally deranged. It took many years for the robots to deduce how to shut the wall down. That now done, nothing bars the way of the huge ship.
Sheesh. Good thing they only now just figured it out. If they figured it out 20 minutes sooner, we'd all be screwed.
Rocket and his friends reflect as they head out into space.
We won the peace, but we're not the types to rest on our haunches. It's time we let out for other worlds in need of aid from adventurers, like Rocket Raccoon and company!
And so that was Rocket Raccoon. It's silly, it's insane, and it is epic. And it's really a breath of fresh air, too, since most comics today are trying to be as dark and edgy as possible, trying to emulate works like The Dark Knight and Watchmen, and those comics are all okay, but at the end of the day, sometimes you just want to have fun. And this comic provides that in spades. Anything you want to add, Rocket?
I don't always read comics, but when I do, I prefer the ones that star me.
Very good.
Regardless, I'm still stuck on this planet. How am I supposed to get back to Half-World?
Yeah, I've been giving that some thought, and I've been thinking, have you ever seen one of these?
A Green Lantern ring? Where'd you get that?
eBay. Anyway. There we go.
What's that?
Planet Half-World, Keystone Quadrant. Don't worry, this is only a teleporter gun. I just programmed it where I wanted to teleport to. Now all I have to do is shoot what I want teleported, and then poof, you're there.
How do you know that's gonna work?
Do you have any better ideas?
I love this plan. I'm excited to be a part of it. Let's do it!
Alright. Hold still.
Live long and prosper, motherfucker!
Okay. So, yes, that was Rocket Raccoon. If you see anything out there that has Rocket's face on it, go ahead and buy it. Tell Marvel that you want to see more Rocket Raccoon. You will not be disappointed.
Now somewhere in the black mining hills of Dakota there lived a young boy named Rocket Raccoon. And one day his woman ran off with another guy, hit young Rocky in the eye. Rocky didn't like that. He said, I'm gonna get that boy. So one day he walked into town, booked himself a room in the local saloon. Rocky Raccoon checked into his room, only to find Gideon's Bible. Rocky had come equipped with a gun to shoot off the legs of his rival. His rival, it seems, had broken his dreams by stealing the girl of his fancy. Her name was McGill, and she called herself Lil, but everyone knew her as Nancy. Now she and her man, who called himself Dan, were in the next room at the hoedown. A Rocky burst in, and grinning a grin, he said, Danny boy, this is a showdown. But Daniel was hot, he drew fast and shot, and Rocky collapsed in the corner. lie on the table. He said, Rocky, you met your match. And Rocky said, Doc, it's only a scratch. And I'll be better, Doc, as soon as I am able. And now Rocky Raccoon, he fell back in his room, only to find Gideon's Bible.
For free!